And welcome back to the CSS podcast. This is episode number 60, titled, Bengals win and the 2023 Cincinnati Reds recap. I don't know if y'all can see that, but got that on the night that they lost 9-0. They were up 9-0 and lost to the Pirates. Parting gift, if you want to call it.
Can we hang that up and throw darts at it?
We could, but I don't have my wallet with the David Bell.
We get certain number of points for who we hit.
Well, here's the thing: they must have just taken this like in early August because what do you want to call it? They have on here.
They probably did.
Carson Spears was on here. Bader. Yeah, you're on delay there, Sam. I can hear you. Or I can hear myself coming from your phone.
Really?
But oh well. Yep, because you don't have your earbuds in, so that's all right. But yeah, there's a couple of others that are on here, like that Jason Shreve.
He's on there?
Yeah, he's on there.
Yeah, so maybe that's normal. Maybe they wait towards the end of the season, so they're closer to their final team.
Do you remember
yes.
when the Angels did theirs? Shohei wasn't there, so they just had somebody wearing his jersey, wearing the 17, and it wasn't Ohtani.
I mean, was it an Asian guy?
No, it was just a white guy. It was the funniest thing ever.
They could at least had an Asian dude. It's like, not hard to find in LA.
No, not at all. Let's see, who else was on here that I was like, oh. Yeah, maybe it was just those guys. Hunter Renfroe was on there.
Okay.
And I got traded. So yeah, but anyhow, it's enough of that. But we are going to talk first. It's going to be instant, instant reaction to the Bengals game. We're gonna go Bengals first, then hit FC Cincy because I don't want to lose the luster of a 34-20 victory over the Arizona Cardinals in the desert. It's instant reaction. Sam, what's your instant reaction to the Bengals victory?
Joe Burrow looked like Joe Burrow. He was moving around in the pocket. He had a couple scrambles, and I mean, just those little movements and little things. I mean, and then you see he throws for 300 yards. The offense looks so much better. The team looks so much better. The defense plays better when the offense is doing stuff, and it was a great game, and hopefully that'll get them back on track for the season.
Crawley?
Yeah, I mean, I would say largely the same thing. Joe Burrow, I mean, how he goes, the team goes. And he was scrambling. He had one where he sprinted out and ran for about 7, 8, 10, maybe 10 yards, whatever, and he hasn't done that once this year. Still a little conservative with the 10-yard passes. But they finally unleashed a couple deep and completed the one touchdown to Chase and the other one almost to Irwin. So they just need to, if he has physically able to do that, they got to take a few shots, just to loosen the defense up as they just keep creeping closer and closer to the line of scrimmage. So that was that's definitely the big takeaway is just, the fact that Burrow looked much more like what we think he should look like. And, the defense played pretty well. I mean, they were harassing Dobbs all day long, chasing him around, and a few breakdowns. But overall, they played pretty well. Pressure on them. Jamar Chase obviously had the game. He broke the record, most receptions for any game for the Bengals. That's got to celebrate that. The one thing the Bengals have had a history of is good wide receivers. So the fact that he has the most catches in one game of any receiver for the Bengals is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I think my instant reaction is Burrow, obviously, but I love the fact that, he said coming out that this is the best he's felt all week, or since the calf strain, and he showed it. He moved around. The first touchdown pass was vintage Joe, where he just slid a little bit, stepped up in the pocket, hit Chase on bullseye, and then that deep ball he threw was a thing of beauty. I mean, before he was only throwing it 10 yards if we were lucky, but that's a good thing. And Pittsburgh somehow came back to beat Baltimore today. So
they're 3-2 and they suck.
Yeah,
they suck.
3-2. Baltimore's 3-2, and we're 2-3, and Cleveland's 2-2.
Yeah,
so
it's one game out.
Yeah, it's all right there. It's all right there. Now, our stretch is probably a little harder than the next teams because we go, Seattle comes to town, and then we got the bye, then we go out to San Fran.
Yep. Bills.
And then the Bills. But the Bills, they're hot and cold, right?
Yeah, they're beatable week to week.
Right. It just depends on which week.
Yeah.
Any other takeaways from the Bengals game here?
I thought the defense played really well too. Getting after Dobbs, forcing turnovers. I mean, they had a couple drives where, but I mean, that's going to happen from game to game. You'll give up a couple scores. But I thought overall they played really well, especially with Awuzie being out. I thought they covered pretty well. Dobbs was only around 50% completion. So I thought the defense played pretty well as well.
Yeah, Dobbs was actually under 50. I'm looking at the stats here. He ended up 15 of 32 with 2 interceptions. So, I mean, when you're playing a mediocre quarterback, you should make him look mediocre. And the Bengals did that today. The Cardinals are at best a mediocre team. I'd say they're below mediocre. So you make them look bad. You should beat them. And so the Bengals took care of what they needed to do today against them because they lose that game. Ooh, goodness.
Lose that game, my prediction is out the window.
Yeah.
It still might be out the window, but there's hope. There's hope. The dream is alive. That is correct.
But it was just nice seeing, it was nice again seeing a team that they should handle and a quarterback that's not very good. They took care of it and made him look like what he should, not very good. And the team overall. So.
Yeah. And, my take on it is, the same thing. It's defense played well. I was a little, right there towards the end where we get punched in to go up. And it, looked like Arizona was moving the ball before that.
Oh, before the half you're talking about?
Pretty decently. Yeah, before the half, because they marched down and it just looked like, because we went, they went 3 and out the first 2 series. Like, all right, here we go. That's the way to get after it. And then, like you said, they are NFL players for a reason, and they made some adjustments, but it's just like, you get that false sense of, this game's going to be a cakewalk. The next thing you know, you're down, and then the defense comes up big. Right through the hands of the receiver, and Cam Taylor-Britt picks it off for his first interception and goes in. I know we were texting back and forth, and we were saying the play calling, Zach Taylor's play calling again, especially down on the goal line. 3 straight runs, yeah. I mean, it's reminiscent of the Bengals Super Bowl where Pete Johnson couldn't punch it in from the 1. I mean, was it the right call? Obviously it wasn't because it didn't work, but I don't know. I mean,
I'm just still, your best player is Joe Burrow. So if you take the ball out of his hands, and we've said this many times, you're taking the ball out of your best player's hands. So that to me is 3 straight plays. I don't mind running mix it once, twice, you're not close enough just to, push him in or whatever, push him in. So I would have, I'm going to give Burrow a chance to, especially today when he seemed to be a little more mobile and it seemed to be looking better, give him a chance to try to do something beyond just let's hand the ball to Joe Mixon.
Well, I think if you're planning on running in that situation, spread them out, right? Spread them out, and then run them up the middle so that they have to leave the box a little bit. But I don't know, hindsight, right? I mean,
yeah, right.
Still got a victory.
Yep.
Good overall game from everybody. The Crocodile Hunter made his appearance and got 7 balls. So Yoshi caught his first pass and
barely.
Lassiter caught his first NFL. So hey, it's a good day all around.
Chiefs just won another close game.
Chiefs won another close game. Yeah, Kelsey went out with a knee injury, a non-contact knee injury. So I don't know.
No.
He came back in.
Did he come back in?
Yeah, he did.
Shucks.
Well, they won though.
Yep.
Won by 7.
All right. Anything else about the Bengals? I know they got the tough road coming up, but
I think again, I think it's Mixon. Regardless of that goal line thing, I will say Mixon still looks pretty good. He's been running hard.
Yeah,
I think every game he's looked pretty well. Done a nice job. He got more rushes today, but you always get more rushes if you're winning. If you're kind of thing. So. But I think he gets kudos for how he's looked so far this season. I think he's looked better this year than last year, and I don't think they're using him enough. Earlier in some of the games they haven't used him enough with Burrow in the hospital basis. So.
Yeah, and I think as far as the running game goes, Mixon goes, like you said, they need to get a better leads, in the game so they can utilize him more, burn off the clock, go down, get those 10 plays, 7-minute drives. I think they're used to seeing coming out of the, halftime. The one thing I will give a pause to is, the Bengals here, our line is still kind of porous. I mean, Arizona ran a couple of stunts where they were looking for the end around, and man, I mean, we just couldn't block that. I don't know if Bolson just didn't see it. That one time, Bolson didn't see it. Jonah Williams' guy beat him, and Jonah about gave Burrow a concussion because Burrow escaped and came running, and bam, Jonah hit him in the head. I was like, Jonah, what are you doing? That would have been the icing on the cake, right? Jonah Williams giving Joe Burrow a concussion. Burrow's out for like 3 more weeks because of Jonah. Oh well. Speaking of stuff, we've got not UC, but FC Cincinnati here. We had to talk about a couple of things. Those of you, we are live tonight on YouTube. So those of you that are watching us and you're listening, you'll hear some feedback, and that's because Sam is driving, as you can see. So those of you that just listen on the podcast, we apologize for that, but he doesn't have his headphones in, so we are getting a little feedback coming in. So we do want to apologize for that, but we wanted to get that instant reaction. We didn't want to wait half an hour, 45 minutes for him to get home and get set up, stuff like that. So that is that. So moving on to FC Cincinnati recap. They had 2 games this past week. They took a loss versus the New York Red Bulls 2-1, and then they beat the Miami Messies 1-0. So, gentlemen, go ahead and tell us about it.
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to watch either game, but they knocked Miami out of the playoff race. Miami cannot make the MLS Cup playoffs. So I have a feeling, put my tinfoil hat on, that's going to come back to bite Cincinnati in the butt come playoff time. But
go say that your controversy is didn't come to fruition there.
Well, they won the U.S. Open Cup, which was what I was mainly talking about.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, I mean, they knocked them out of the playoffs. Miami can't make the playoffs, which, to be honest, I felt Miami would have been our biggest threat in the playoffs if we would have had to play them in our first game. So to eliminate them, get them out of the way, feels great. We have one more game, I think, on Saturday. I don't even know who we play. Last game of the year, and then we have a bye for the playoffs for the wild card round. So, I mean, you can rest your guys for 2 straight weeks if you want to, or give them a half in the last game of the season, just to keep them fresh. But I really like where we're at headed into the playoffs. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't play for 2 weeks. We don't play until the 21st because of the international break coming up.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So, and I don't know if we're still going to be, and I don't know, we might even still be missing. I think by the 21st, everybody's back. Of course, I don't know who's getting called up, whatever. I don't think any of our guys got called up. So maybe some of the international guys did. They probably did. But anyway, I did watch the game yesterday. So I did see the whole thing, and first half was a little rough. Miami definitely had chances. I think they put 3 off the framework. They could have been 3-0, and then Noonan coming off the field got in that halftime interview. He doesn't come across as very emotional. Like I've never seen him kind of lose his cool, whatever. But he was as on edge as I've ever seen him in an interview. I mean, he was. I'm sure in the actual locker room, it's not pleasant to be a player. He was just saying what it was, that they just were playing basically like crap. I mean, come on. So second half they played a lot better. They were the one that then had some off the framework. So they, FC Cincinnati could have scored 2-3 goals. So it was good to see that. They played much better in the second half. Ended up getting the winner. Nice knocking Miami out. Messi came on just for the last 35 minutes. He really didn't do much of anything other than he had a couple free kicks near the 18. That was definitely made me nervous. I think everybody in the place where I was watching that was nervous about it. That's classic Messi to put something in from 20, 25 yards out, but he hit him over the goal, both of them. So that was good. that definitely took away some anxiety on that. So that's it. Yeah, that's it for Miami. Now they still, because they won the League's Cup, they do make the CONCACAF Champions League, whenever that is. I don't even know when they play that, but whenever that happens, they did make it from that. And FC Cincinnati also was in that. Noonan made an interesting point after they won the Supporter Shield is the Supporter Shield more important than the MLS Cup? The American mindset of sports is it's always the end of the season tournament. It's the playoffs. It's the, that's what we always have been basically conditioned to think about is like, that's if you win, for the Bengals have the best record in the NFL, they lose in the first round of the playoffs, we're pissed, kind of thing, any American sport. So, but in soccer, the rest of the world, it is not like that at all. It is the regular season. Who is the regular season winner? They get all the accolades. I mean, that's who is seen as the champion of the season. I mean, they don't even have an end of season tournament. They play some mid-season tournaments that are important, but not. They usually play their at best B team, B or B plus team as a tournament. Kind of what FC Cincy did at the U.S. Open Cup. They were playing the better team as the farther they went along. So I don't know. He brought it up in a soccer context that Supporter Shield. Is it more important than the MLS Cup? Now, because we're the American mindset, we're not, people aren't going to agree with them. But in the soccer mindset, that is true. So, but now we'll go on to see what happens. So, hey, Dave, I don't hear you.
I know one thing with.
I don't hear you at all. I hear Sam, but not you.
Yeah, I don't hear you either. Well, I know one thing with the Supporter Shield. Until last year, I think it had been like over 10 years. Like if you won the Supporter Shield, you didn't win the MLS Cup. But LAFC did both last year to break the curse. So hopefully we can continue that trend of winning both the Supporter Shield and the Cup. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah. What I was saying, it was what do you think of Miami putting Messi up for like the MVP? Because I guess every team can put somebody up for the MVP, and
Well, they probably don't have many other options. They were horrible
Yeah,
before
they
he started
don't,
playing.
but
So I mean, you
yeah.
went from being last in the league to winning one tournament, making the semifinals of another tournament, and I mean, when he played, they won almost every game.
Yeah.
When he didn't play, they lost almost every game. So he's not going to win it, but I could legitimately see him being recognized. So
Yeah, he'll probably win MLS. They don't do Rookie of the Year; they do Newcomer of the Year. So he'll probably win that award. But Acosta, FC Cincinnati, Lucho, he should win MVP. I mean, there's one game left, but right now he would win the Golden Boot if the season. He also has like 10 plus assists. So I mean, I think he's hands down the MVP.
All right. Well, we're going to move on, and good luck to FC Cincinnati. They play Atlanta, the last game of the season, and then playoffs, and hopefully, do we know when the playoffs, like what day they'll be here in Cincy?
It'll be on a Saturday, but I don't know the date.
Okay.
Probably 2 weeks after the end of the regular season, so whatever that is.
Halloween.
The week after that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, trying to look it up real quick here.
November 4th, 5th, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right, because the wild card games will be that first Saturday after this regular season's over.
Yeah, if I find it, I'll let you know.
Okay. So we're gonna move on, and last week we had just Crawley and I, and he had a trivia question. So go ahead, Crawley. Let us bask in the knowledge of trivia.
Okay, now I got to go back to my other screen. It was name the nine schools that have the most college football wins in college football history. So 9 winningest college football programs. So in order, from 1 to 9, it is Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Notre Dame, Texas, Oklahoma, Yale, Penn State, and Nebraska.
Yale sneaking in there.
Yeah. They were 7th.
Yeah. All right. That was a good one. And so mine, I have this week's, and since we were talking about receivers and Jamar Chase today with the great performance here, all-time catch record for receivers for the Bengals, I thought it'd be kind of fun to go back into the archives and see if you guys can tell me who the Bengals drafted number 1, their first round draft pick in 1981. I'll give you their number 2 picks. They went receiver 1 and 2. Their number 2 pick was the skinny kid from Florida, Chris Collinsworth. But who was number 1 that year for the Bengals?
In 81?
In 81.
For some reason, this name is in my head. I haven't thought about this guy in 20 years, but it popped in my head. David Verser?
You are correct.
I don't know why I know that. I really don't.
Now, do you know what college he came from?
Hey, I'm happy I came up with that, because I don't even know how I came up with that. So.
Oh, I thought maybe you were going to say Eddie Brown or something, but
no. I have
David
no clue
Verser.
what college.
Very good. Very good. Yes, you deserve a drink there, Crawley. So
yeah, I deserve something with that one. I get a sticker or something.
Yeah, I might have to send you a sticker. You ruined it for our fans, though. But so fans out there, if you're listening, you get to this portion, just mute it, skip it, listen to the. Don't let Crawl Dog answer it for you. But yeah, so we'll move on. We do want to give a shout out to Phil Farr, right? Because his Patriots suck and a lot worse than ours, Bengals. So we got the win. Your quarterback got benched again, Phil. So not looking good, but it's looking good for Crawley's prediction of the Patriots going 2-17 or 2-16, 15, something like that. Whatever you said.
I said 4-13.
Oh, 4-13. Yeah, it's looking real good now. 5 games in. All right, enough of that. Let's go back to 2023 Cincinnati Reds season, and at the beginning in March we did our fun name game for who do we think would win the award. So we're going to recap that real quick, and then we are also going to say who are we going to give those awards to now that the season is over. So the first award was the Corky Miller Comeback Player of the Year. I had Joey Votto, Sam had Jonathan India, and Crawley had Joey Votto. Does anybody want to change there?
So I'm sticking with India. I don't know. The candidates weren't great, I guess you could say.
I agree.
Yeah.
I had Votto. I was thinking like if I could somehow weasel Will Benson into this, as like comeback player of the year, just because he was basically left for dead, and then he comes back. So and came back and had a really damn good season. So
we're not.
So if I could somehow create or make him a comeback player in some fashion, then I'm throwing him up just because of the lack of quality in this category.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Benson qualifies.
Yeah,
here.
I don't think
that's the spirit of the award.
Right. I had Votto. It's probably going to be India, but I'm going to leave it at Votto. So, just because, if we didn't give him a proper send off, at least we can maybe give him the Comeback Player of the Year award for the Reds. So, and we'll get to Votto. And
if we're basing it on our awards, this is his only shot at an award. So, I should stick with Votto too.
I'm sticking with the Hall of Famer Joey Votto. So
maybe
send him a trophy.
In honor of him, I should leave it to him because he has no chance at anything else.
The golden bobblehead, Joey Votto. Yeah. So there it is. All right.
Best interview, unless we had the best interview of the year, that would go to Joey Votto.
I don't know, Ricky
Karcher was up there.
Ricky Karcher was pretty good. All right. The Big Donkey Sabermetric Award winner. I had India/Steer. So I had India first, and I changed it to Steer. We did this back in after the All-Star break. And then Sam had Will Myers. Good pick there, Sam. And then changed it to Steer. And Crawley had Steer. So, anybody want to change now that we know?
Nope.
Yeah,
Sabermetrics.
Yeah, Steer's the clear, at least for me, still, he's a clear winner. Led the team in walks and home runs, and he had 15 stolen bases. So,
nobody wants to go with shoot. Drawing a blank. I can't even remember now.
You don't even know.
Matty McLean. Nobody wants to go with Matty McLean? No? All right. Our next award. So congratulations, Spencer Steer, on the Sabermetric Big Donkey Award. The Spud Sabo Rookie of the Year Award. So I had Will Benson.
You should have saved this one. This was the hardest one.
Yeah, but I had Will Benson first, and everybody laughed at me. And then I switched it to McLean. I may switch it back, but I don't know. Sam had De La Cruz, and Crawley had Steer. So, what are we thinking?
I'm thinking... Well, we get 2 switches. Are we doing that?
Well, yeah, because that's what we did at
Well, this is
2 switches.
I think today you can pick whoever you want.
Yeah, I think
just pick whoever. Okay.
Yeah.
This is who we think is the finalist, the winner.
Yeah, the finalist.
Okay, gotcha. That makes more sense. I'm going with McLean. Just because I already gave Steer an award, and I want to give McLean one too. Switch it from De La Cruz to McLean. Okay. I think there's a real chance that if he doesn't miss the last month of the season, that we sneak in as a wild card team. I think he gives us those 2 games that we needed.
Yeah, and I had, who the hell did I have? I had Steer,
yeah.
Which is, I'm fine with Steer, but I think I'm actually going to go off the board, and I'm going to go with Andrew Abbott.
Yeah.
I think Andrew Abbott, without Andrew Abbott, I mean, I don't even know how bad. I mean, they might have been my prediction, which was 70 wins without Andrew Abbott. I mean, he saved the team basically from a pitching standpoint for at least, 2 months, 3 months. Yep. So, I mean, even though he just ran out of gas at the end, but I mean, I think he, from a pitching standpoint, it was Andrew Abbott, along with, some of the relievers as well. But I mean, from a starting staff, Andrew Abbott came out of nowhere and everything. So I'm going to go Abbott.
Yep. All right. I'm staying with McLean. I'm not going to switch it. The Mario Soto MVP pitcher of the year. I had Ashcraft. Sam had Green, and then Crawley had Lodolo, and then he switched it to Diaz.
I'll keep mine. I'll keep Diaz. I mean, he was obviously the best reliever of the group, and so I mean, he, from Abbott from a starting standpoint, but Diaz from a relief standpoint, and the relief pitching was way, way better than we anticipated. So, Diaz cleaned up a lot of messes. So I'm gonna stay with Diaz.
Okay.
Sam, I'm gonna switch mine. Yeah, I'm gonna switch mine to Abbott. I mean, Crawley mentioned it with the last one there. That he was instrumental for us, for our starters there. So since he came up, so that's who I'm switching mine to.
Yeah, I had Ashcraft. I think if Ashcraft doesn't get hurt, he's probably the guy. But they're at the end, with his big toe injury, because he had a decent start to the year. He had that rough middle, and then he came back and pitched really, really well, and then he got injured. So, unfortunately, Ashcraft probably will not get it just because of that. And I think I will go with Andrew Abbott as well. All right, our next one is the Brandon Drury. You won't be here by the All-Star break MVP. And I had Tyler Stevenson. Sam had Will Myers. And Crawley had Stevenson.
You were all in on Will Myers.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I was.
Yes, he was. And then he had Crawley had Stevenson and McLean.
Yeah.
So anybody want to change theirs, Sam?
Yeah, I'm going with Steer. Steer's my MVP for the team. So
this was a tough one for me too. I came down to, I said McLean. I switched to McLean. It came down to me for McLean, Steer, and Friedel. I think all 3 of them really, if there was, I would say a split vote, 3-way vote. I'm going to keep McLean just from the standpoint of the team started, it was almost an immediate impact when he came up, got called up. That's when they started playing better. I know they were in Colorado when that happened. When he came up, first games were against the Rockies, and from that series on, I'm sure they had one of their better records in the majors, at that point. So, over the course of the rest of the season. So I'm going to keep it McLean just for that standpoint, but I have no problem with Steer being the MVP, and I think Friedel deserves a piece of that too.
I think, Friedel showed what his value, right, as the season progressed and down the line, especially there where you sort of like lifted the team up the last week of the season. But I think I'm going to have to change mine from Tyler to Steer as well, because I just think Steer was, he just wanted to play. He's just a typical baseballer.
Yeah, he's just a ball player.
He's a ball player. He's a gamer. He comes to the ballpark, doesn't care where he plays. He's still going to produce. And, I was going to give a shout out to, Stewie, if he would have got that hit there at the end, but Stewie doesn't. That would have been like a highlight of the year.
I'm not sure if the shutout should be when we're talking MVP here.
Well, no, yeah, not MVP. Maybe the highlight. We don't have a highlight.
Maybe the best 25th player on the team or something.
Yeah, something like
shout out.
That. Yeah, shout out to Stu. I had to get Stu in there one last time because he may not be with us.
The best 4A'er on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, yeah.
All right, we're going to go to the Pedro Borbon Rubber Arm Award. I had Ian Jabot or Revere San Martin, but
did he even pitch? I
think he pitched one game and then blew out his arm. I'm not 100% sure, but
I think he did pitch at the beginning. Yeah.
I said it was going to be one of those two guys. Sam, you had Sessa, which another stellar pick by you, and Buck Farmer, which was a good one there where you changed it. And then Crawley, you had Cruz.
Yeah.
So I'm staying with Jabot. I just think David Bell leaned on him a lot this year. So I'm going to go with Jabot as the Pedro Borbon Rubber Arm Award.
Yeah, I'm actually going to Jabot as well. He led the team in games and an inning pitch for relievers. He went from whenever the February and his B falling off his uniform, the worst uniform in the history of organized sports, to leading a major league team in games, a team that actually had a winning record. Like he wasn't with the A's or whatever leading them. A team with a winning record. So I'll give it to Jabot. Maybe he should have been my comeback player of the year, coming back from that catastrophe they called Great Britain, that baseball team in that uniform. So
the World Baseball Classic, the T just falls off, right? As he's pitching. Yeah.
So I'm going to give it to Jabot as well.
All right.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and make it a clean sweep. I'll give it to Jabot as well. But yeah, you could have went Farmer there because he had a bunch of appearances. Cruz had a lot of appearances as well. But I think Jabot, I don't remember Jabot having like a stretch of 2 or 3 bad outings either all year. So we'll go with Jabot.
Okay. And now we have the SOB executive / coach of the year. I had Nick, I'm looking for a Hall Crawl. Sam, you had the AA manager. I still don't know who that is, but that's who you had. And Crawley,
they were the only minor league team to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Chattanooga.
Crawley, you had the bench coach Freddie Benavides
with the idea that he would be the head coach, he would be the manager by the end of the season. So,
yes. But
so since that didn't happen, I'm going to switch it to David Bell. With as many,
wow,
as many warts.
Crawley's turning over new leaf.
You don't got a lot of. There's not a lot of choices here. I'm not going Nick Crawl.
Oh, you brought Sam Mole in. Come on.
Oh, great, yeah, along with all the other good pitching they needed too. So I'm gonna with all his warts and everything else, I'm gonna go David Bell, and he did handle the bullpen pretty well. I will say that his lineups drove me to crazy. But I'm going to go David Bell, and you can't take it away from me.
Put that in all caps. All right, there, producer. All caps. David Bell. Sam Frank, hopefully you're listening, and then you can talk to Crawley tomorrow morning. Sam, who do you got?
I'm going to just stick with the AA manager. The prospects that came up, for the most part, they all played pretty well. They had, but they seem like they all belonged. At least all of our high level prospects that we called up. So he had something to do with that.
Yep. Who's the bullpen coach? He's got those guys ready, and when you can send the law firm out and get them ready, and I don't know who the bullpen coach is, but.
By the way, the manager of Chattanooga is Jose Moreno.
Jose Moreno. There we go.
Yep.
We'll have to look at the Reds bullpen coach.
Who are the bullpen catchers? Those guys' knees have to be killing them.
I guess I could have given it to
Leichman, I think.
I don't know. Is that who I'm thinking of? No, the pitching coach.
Johnson.
Derek Johnson.
Eric Johnson. I mean, he does. He probably handles the bullpen way more than David Bell does. I'm sure David Bell just goes out there to stumbles out there to yank him. But so.
You sure we didn't want to give it to game planning outfield coach Jeff Pickler? That would be.
No.
Let's see here. I think I'll stick with Nick Krall just because
until he can bring in a legitimate major league player from somewhere else, I'm not giving it to him.
That's all right. I like what he did, leading up to this season. So yeah, I'd like to see him bring in somebody, but we'll get to that because we get to play GM.
You've got 6 months to do it.
Yep.
So
our next one is the Tommy Pham slap yo mama. None of my fantasy team.
This was the easiest pick for me. I didn't deviate all year, and still is the same. Still the same answer. So if you want to go through who we all picked, I'm locked in on this one.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So with that lock, Crawley had Luke Dreamweaver.
Right. Exactly. Definitely
Sam,
the winner.
The winner. Sam. I don't know. Sam had Nick Senzel, and then I had Chad Pendor / Connor Overton.
He actually didn't hurt your fantasy team because he never played, literally never played this year.
Connor Overton did, and he hurt your fantasy team a little bit.
But not enough, not like Dreamweaver.
No, but hey, the Reds won the game when he pitched 9 times. So, how that happened, don't know. But
the team result doesn't matter for your fantasy team. So yeah, I'm switching mine to Weaver though. Senzel actually played pretty well against lefties, so I do want to give him his credit there. Still think he played too much overall, but whatever. Switching to Weaver.
Let's make it unanimous. I'll go Dreamweaver. Even though Kevin Newman,
a sneaky shout out would be Kirk Casale.
Yes, that would be a very.
Did he have 30 at bats all season?
He might have.
He hasn't.
He just fell off the face of the earth. Somehow he was on the active roster for months, and he got 2 at bats.
Yeah,
I couldn't figure that out. He had overall for the whole season he had 80. I don't know when that was. 80 at bats. No idea when that happened, but
probably in April, May.
And he batted a robust 175.
175. Wow, that's pretty good. All right. Next up, we have the Mike Minor League Player of the Year Award. I had Novelli Marte, Sam had McLean, and Crawley had De La Cruz. I think I'm sticking with Marte.
So I was doing a little research on this one actually,
going Blake Dunn.
Nope, I'm going CES. He was actually named International League. He was named an All-Star, an official end of the season All-Star. Oh. He was only red minor leaguer that happened to. He played whatever they said, 65 games or 67 games or something during that time. But he had some pretty ridiculous stats. He batted while he was there, 331, 21 doubles, 20 home runs, 62 RBI. He even though he missed, whole second half of the season there, he still ranked second on the team in home runs and extra base hits. So I'm going to CES.
All right. Sam?
Yeah, I'm going to switch mine from McLean. Big leagues too long. And I went with Marte just because out of the prospects, he was kind of down in the minor leagues the longest. But just trying to think of pitching wise. But I don't know. I was thinking Petty, but
I went with Marte.
Well, it could have been Connor Phillips if you're going to think pitching, because I think Phillips was.
Yeah,
one
you
that-
know, you're right. Yeah, Phillips, not Petty. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, our last award that we have is the Dr. Teddy Kremchek IL Award winner. I had Nick Senzel, Sam had Senzel, and Crawley had TJ Antone.
I'm keeping mine. The fact that
you're-
that dude came back and pitched any in the major leagues was
Yeah,
pretty amazing. So
did.
I'm
Pitched 2
keeping
innings.
Antone. Yeah,
So yeah,
that's
Yep.
still. I mean, if he would have thrown one pitch,
Yep.
I was because I had these Reds blowhards that were counting on TJ Antone to be a significant part of the bullpen and like whatever. Like, just I don't even want to hear you anymore. But I'm giving him the award just for throwing one pitch in the majors, coming back from 2 elbow surgeries and stuff. So,
Sam.
Yeah, and Charlie made a good argument there to switch it to
Antone.
So
yeah, I think I'm going to switch.
mine over to Antone there. He convinced me.
I'm switching from Senzel to Nicola Dolo. The guy seems he can't stay healthy, so he gets the IL award winner from me. So, all right, and then we had our predictions for the season, and I only recorded mine, and I said 72 and 90, 10 games over where they were last year. Obviously, I was wrong, but I was the closest.
you were. I had 70 wins.
So Crawley had 70 wins, and Sam, I think you had 62.
I had 62.
He had 62.
Yeah, you
62.
had 62. So,
Yep.
so yes. So yeah, and then we had this position player. I think it was like the most important position player, and I had Jonathan India down. I don't have, both of yours, so I don't know who you guys had.
I think I had Stevenson.
Yeah, I think you
I
did.
think I
did too.
that
Yeah.
was- yeah. So, I think India made a case for how important he was to that team, whether he was playing, second base or DHing. I just don't know if moving forward that's going to be the case, and I don't think he does either. Tyler Stevenson, I just think they yanked him around too much. First base, DH, catch. He wants to catch. I think you saw the uptick, there in August when he was catching more games. I just don't know.
I mean, moving forward, he's a catcher. You don't have space for him to play first base or really even DH. So
You don't.
I think he's catcher, and that's what he's going to get.
So
Yeah.
All right.
Are we saying who we think, or are we just based on what we had said before?
Yeah. Do you want to change it?
Well, I'd probably say Steer from the standpoint of he played a freaking every position though, basically. So
he's
I'd say
he's the most important positionless
player.
Positionless position player.
Yeah. I mean, I got to give him credit for that.
Well, yeah, he did well. I still like you guys' Tyler Stevenson catching too, because if you can solidify that catching and he can catch 120, 125 games and bat, 275 with 20 bombs, I think that would go a long, long way in Reds land for next year's push for the playoffs. So, all right. Any thoughts on our awards? And hopefully the Reds will announce their award winners. I think they normally do that at Reds Fest. So in December we might see who was the closest to a few of these awards. So we'll keep on going. I sent you guys a text with the projected payroll. And the first one I sent was last week, but then this one, I just sent you another one. And that one actually is from the same guy, but it was using the current 40-man roster and the arbitration salaries based on the Major League Baseball TR projections. So the other one that I sent you wasn't based on that. It was just based on his own projections. So if you look at it, total payroll, it has at $49,427,083. And arbitration one, the projected salary, right? Ty Stevenson at 2.9, Jake Fraley at 2.2, Jonathan India bumps up to 3.7. And then Alex Young looks like at 1.7, and Vladimir Gutierrez at 1 million. What do you think? You think they're going to win? Do you think the Reds are going to?
Well, I would say some of these guys on here are going to be not here. They're going to be bye. They're not going to pay Nick Senzel $3 million. They're not paying Senzel $3 million.
Right.
They're not paying Derek Law $1.4 million.
They're not giving Gutierrez $1 million.
They're not going to give Gutierrez $1 million.
No.
They're not going to get Lucas Sims at $2.8 million. I don't know if they'll give Lucas Sims $2.8 million.
They might give Lucas Sims 2.8. I think, because he was the eighth inning setup guy, but now Jabot became the eighth inning setup guy, and I think
they won't give Alex Young 1.7.
I mean,
average left-hander has been waived multiple times in his career. You can find somebody else to take his spot.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Especially with Sam Mole.
But Mole will be the main lefty, and they can just. I mean, if Sam Martin he's healthy,
well, they just have to find. Yeah. They have to either find someone or trade for someone. I mean, yeah.
Or Lodolo goes into the bullpen, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to.
They'd be more likely to put Williamson into the bullpen over Lodolo.
Yeah. Lodolo can't stay healthy. I mean, you might.
No, you're right. You make a valid point. I'm just saying from the Reds' perspective, he's still his ceiling is way higher. I don't think you give up on him as a starter yet.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. So some of the salaries that are like option decisions, right? You got Joey Votto at $7 million. Kurt Casale at $750,000. So those two
he's gone.
Yeah, those two you have to pay that, right? And then retained salaries. This is the last year that they're paying Ken Griffey Jr. $3.593 million. And then Will Myers still gets owed 1.5. Let's talk about the Votto situation, right? His buyout, $7 million. He, they got a team option for 20.
So but he's not getting that right off.
It's $13 million that, the Reds are, I guess, contemplating it. Is he worth the $13 million? Now, he did come out on the Dan Patrick show last week and said that he wants to play. He feels like he's capable of playing, feels like he's healthy enough to play, and he wants to be an everyday player. He doesn't want to be a bench player. So what do you do if you're the Reds? And he says he's open to going somewhere else. Do you let him walk?
He's not. Some of it's going to be his decision on being the everyday player, because he's not going to be an everyday player here. He's going to be a backup first baseman, DH, captain. Give him the C, put the C on his jersey. That's going to be his role. I mean, I don't want him having more. If he has more at bats than CS, that means either CS just fell off the table, and that's bad, because we're counting on him to be a number 4 hitter probably in the lineup, 4 or 5 hitter in the lineup. Or Votto had this crazy resurgence, which I don't think is going to happen. Now, could he be better next year? Sure, because he is more removed from that shoulder issue, which obviously has plagued them. So
there's a third option. David Bell just wants to play him, right?
So, and I've said before, and just because I have so little faith in the Reds front office that I don't mind Votto coming back in that kind of backup role, mentor, captain role, as long as paying him $10 million or $13 million or whatever it's going to take does not mean they use that as an excuse not to get other players. That's my biggest fear, because I just don't trust the front office and the ownership.
Right. With the, just say that the Reds aren't going to go over 80 million for the payroll. So that's still 31 million that they can go out and get somebody or a couple of people, right?
I'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to increase their payroll. I mean, their gate has to be increased from what it's been years past with the attendance this year. The excitement's going to be there. Just from a business perspective for the Castellinis, it would be wise to invest in the team so that you can keep that train rolling. I mean, I don't know what their finances are, what number is realistically attainable. If it only comes in at 80 million, on the surface, I'd be disappointed just because I don't know the financials. I know, kind of middle of the pack MLB payroll this year was around 140, 150 million dollars. That's kind of where I'd like for them to be, but I don't know that that's realistic or not.
Yeah, I don't think 140 is realistic.
Could it get?
Because in order to get that, right, you're investing a lot of money in one or two players. I mean, you're looking at a Bryce Harper type contract, Juan Soto type contract, and you also have to realize too that part of that money you're going to want to try to lock up De La Cruz, McLean. I don't know if you lock up Steer or not, but I think McLean and De La Cruz and Marte. Marte still has rookie status for next year. So,
because their extensions wouldn't go on next year's payroll; it'd be the following year.
Right.
I guess because I was kind of figuring in extensions onto that, in that, but yeah, I guess you're right. That wouldn't be for next year. So yeah, but if you can get a couple, ideally you want 2 or 3 of them kind of signed. I mean, you can, if you want to count Hunter Green as one already.
Yeah, he's counted.
I'm okay with that
because next year he bumps up to 3 1/3, I believe.
Yeah, and then it's increasing every year, I think.
Right. Yeah. So it's 3,333,000. So, Andrew Abbott is going to be another one that you're going to try to probably lock up if he has another, successful season. And then you've got
they did Green only after 1 year though.
2.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
So I think this was his. Was this his second?
No,
year?
This was his second year.
Yeah, second full-time year, right?
Yeah, so they got his extension after his rookie year.
Yeah, so it was right before the start of this season. So
yeah.
So he'll make that. All right, so if we have roughly between 31 and say 40 million to play with, and we're the GMs here. Who are you targeting and why? Which free agent? And the free agent market is not stellar. Are you going after who you going after?
They need bullpen help, like legit bullpen help. But the issue with going after that on the free agent market is it's a lot more expensive than via trade. And I don't know necessarily the relievers outside of Josh Hader, and you don't need to bring him in. You've got your closer. I don't think there's any reason to bring in Hader at $15 million a year. But Chapman will be a free agent. that's a name that you could get relatively cheap. That solves your second lefty issue there also. I wouldn't be opposed to Chapman. I still think we need a legit number one type starting pitcher. But, I mean, outside of Ohtani, who's not even going to pitch next year, I don't know that guy's on the market.
Sonny Gray is probably your best free agent
Yeah,
pitcher.
At that point, I know that you bring him back in.
I mean, if you get him for 15, which I
would
think you are, but
I would get him. I would take him.
I would take Sonny Gray. I mean,
MLB. I'm looking at the list here. MLB put out a list of like free agents, and they ranked them by WAR from this year. I guess this year, Otani's number one, but then it's Aaron Nola, Blake Snell, Sonny Gray, Jordan Montgomery, Kershaw, Alex Cobb, Stroman, Kyle Gibson. So, that group, Sonny Gray is a little older, 34, which may be beneficial for the Reds because that might knock his price down a little bit. No way can he be expecting a 3-4 year kind of contract or anything at that age. I think Nola is going to be Nola and Snell for sure will probably be too expensive for the Reds. I'd love for it to get either of those guys. Yeah. But I think Sonny Gray is more realistic from that list. If they're willing to pay. I mean, who knows? Reds may not be willing to pay anything. So, we might end up with Mike Minor. Maybe they'll bring him back, even though he didn't pitch this year. So,
Cueto.
Now, an interesting name is Kyle Gibson. He pitched for the Orioles this year, and he was kind of their pickup. And obviously, he wasn't great, but he was good enough to pitch all year and help stabilize the Orioles' young pitching staff and stuff. So he's kind of gone through it already. Not a big name, so I'm sure he's not going to cost $1 billion or anything. But yeah, I love Sonny Gray. What about then you got Marcus Stroman, who's had some injury issues. 33, not as old, a year younger than Sonny Gray. Probably the injury issues will knock his price down. Has had a lot of success.
Yeah, so. And you got to look at too who you bidding against, right? I mean, the Cubs are going to try to keep him, because they've got Steele, and
maybe they might go after Snell or Nola.
Well, that is true. They may go after somebody a little bit bigger as well, but because they also got Bellinger that they're going to try to probably re-sign. That's the guy who I wish the Reds would have went after instead of Will Myers, but Bellinger on a 1-year prove-it deal, and he proved it this year.
yeah, he did.
And I'd love to see him hit every 81 times in Great American Ballpark, but
now knowing the Reds, I'm guessing they're going to go with one of the guys lower on the list. That there's a lot of that Eduardo Rodriguez guy. He was even rumored at the All-Star or at the trade deadline.
Is he a free agent?
He's got an opt-out.
He's got an opt-out.
He can opt out.
Okay.
Somebody like him, Seth Lugo, Giolito, who was not good at all after the trade deadline. Lorenzen.
Neither was Lorenzen. Good.
Yeah.
I mean, Lorenzen.
But those are the kind of guys, Jack Flaherty. Jack Flaherty was with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
These kind of guys that. I mean, that's not the kind of guys we need. We need a guy from the upper part of the list.
Right.
But again, it wouldn't surprise me if those are the kind of guys we bring in. If you're asking what we should do, it should be one of the upper guys.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ohtani's kind of the catch. So if you can maybe, who's going to be in for Ohtani is kind of my question.
Everybody.
So then would you be able to steal like Stroman from the Cubs? Because they're trying to throw this money at Ohtani and, come in and undercut him and steal Stroman from the Cubs or steal Nola from the.
I guess the question is, who are their agents, right? If they're the same agents, they're going to wait till Ohtani signs the deal, and then they can adjust the market from there. Because, if Scott Boras is Ohtani's agent, he's gonna set the market with. It's not like football where they, the number one pick, well, not anymore, but the quarterbacks, they just keep making more and more and more. No, Otani's going to be like, okay, you're getting 500 million, and then we're going to wait until somebody, and then all these other guys who are Boris's clients are waiting in the wings as well, unless it's the lower, first time free agent stuff like that. But if it's another agent, then they may get a little antsy and say, well, I want to know who I'm going to, and I don't want to wait until 1 week before spring training to try to find a house in Cincinnati and buy, rent a house, hotel, whatever for my family, that kind of thing. So I think lots going to depend on the agents and when it happens and where Otani ends up.
What about trade candidate wise?
Trade
candidate wise?
Yeah, because
anybody on the Padres, right? I mean, because they are.
I don't know what the you have to double down, don't you? If you're the Padres.
I don't know. Do you?
I
mean, because this is not the first time that they collapse, and they've had one of the highest payrolls.
Yeah.
2 years ago was the same thing, right? This is what everybody's saying. Juan Soto could be available because.
Yeah.
What's he got? 1 more year?
I think he has 1 more year. Yes. So you trade a couple of prospects, high prospects, because they are going to want Chase Petty. They're going to want Arroyo, and
they'll probably want a big league ready guy too. So maybe one of the guys they got called up.
I don't know if they'll want a big league ready because I don't know if they do or not.
Depends on who we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you explore every trade. There's nobody to me that's untradeable for the right deal.
Right.
So
that's what they said in 1965 when Frank Robinson went to Baltimore for Milt Pappas. No one's untradeable.
A bad trade.
That was a bad trade. Yes. Yes, it was.
You roll the dice sometimes.
He was 30. He was an old 30, Frankie boy was, but apparently not. So yeah, I mean, I think the Reds will probably sniff the free agent market with, Sonny Gray, familiarity, right? Maybe kick around some of those other lower tier pitchers, like you said, Crawley. But I think they'll probably look at trades to help their club.
They have the prospects. They can
Right.
almost trade for about anybody.
Right. Yeah.
If you really boil it down to it, almost.
Because,
they have such high level prospects that they almost could trade for anyone. There's probably 10 guys 10 major league players who the Reds couldn't get if they really wanted to get them. If I'm willing to trade Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McClain to someone, I could pretty much get about anybody. I bet the Braves wouldn't give up Acuna, and there's probably a few other guys out there they would turn down no matter what. But so I'm just saying, if the Reds really when it boils down to it, they could about trade for anyone.
Right.
They
Mike
won't,
Trout might be
but they
available.
could.
Yes,
Mike Trout
they
might be
did say
available.
Mike Trout. Now that I could. We need a right-handed bat.
Oh, I'd love to have it.
That would be great.
He'd have to waive his
upgrade
trade
in outfield.
Cincinnati, but
Right, but
gets him closer to New Jersey.
Yep, sure does.
yeah, halfway there.
So the Mets are another ball club that you're scratching your head at, right? Because they spent money galore,
and they're going to keep spending money.
They're going to keep spending money, right? Because he has the money to spend. So he's going to be all in on the Otante and Mike Trout. But I don't know. I would like to see Otani in a Reds uniform for 1 year and hitting bombs.
That's not going to happen.
In the moon deck, right?
So I think Trout's a little more realistic than Otani, because Otani's going to be very selective where he goes. He's going to want West. He's going to want Coast, for the Japanese connection. That's why if the Dodgers want him, I think he's going to end up as a Dodger. Boston's a possibility because there's that other Japanese player, high-level player there. But I don't see him going to the Cubs or the Reds or the Mets or anything. Because maybe the Mets. I mean, New York is basically a coastal. But I don't see him. Definitely not Cardinals, Cubs, Reds, those kind of teams.
No, I don't know. Cardinals will surprise me. That's the thing because
I just meant for his preferences.
Well, that is true.
I mean, he didn't even listen to anybody that was not on the coast when he came here.
I would not be surprised if the Cardinals make some moves.
Oh,
because
they will make. There's no doubt they will make.
I
moves.
would not be surprised if Juan Soto ends up a Cardinal. So just
because the Cardinals have some pretty good prospects too that they could.
They're not going to be okay with this season. They're going to ready to burn the city down.
Last time,
improve.
I heard a stat. It was like last time the Cardinals lost 90 games. I think it was like 1991 or something like that. I mean,
did they finish them last?
Yes.
Or they did? Yeah. I mean, that's
unacceptable in St. Louis.
I guarantee you that's not going to happen next year.
No,
they will have a winning record next year.
And that's why it's very important that the Reds get some pitching and another, bat to go along, because it's going to be. I think the National League Central is going to be, depending on, what the Cubs do as far as re-signing people. The Brewers are still the Brewers. They always find a way. The Cardinals are going to get better. They're not going to settle for this. We're better. The Pirates are just the Pirates.
I mean, they'll have O'Neal Cruz will come back. O'Neal Cruz will come back next year for them. I mean, I don't think they'll be any good, but
they'll start out like they did. They'll win some games and be in first place. And then all of a sudden May 15th rolls around, and by the time you look up Memorial Day, they're in last. So that's the Pirates in a nutshell.
I saw that the Brewers may be looking to trade Burns, Corbin Burns.
Yeah. I would snag him.
Well, I don't know that. If you're the Brewers, do you trade him in the division?
No, probably
you
not.
Probably won't. You probably won't have to because there'll be other teams outside the division who want them.
Right. So let's construct our 2024 Reds lineup here. Who do we got? Go around the infield and the outfield. Who's your starting? And you can throw in a trade if you think it's going to happen. Who's your around the horn outfield, starting pitcher and catcher opening day?
Opening day. I'll start a catcher. Stevenson's going to be the opening day catcher. I think that's a lock.
Agreed.
Unless they go get another catcher, which they might. I don't know.
That would be a waste of money, in my opinion. I'd be dumb. Malley's a good enough backup catcher. And Stevenson's your one. There's no reason to go get another guy, in my opinion. But.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep. Stevenson. First base?
I would think CES.
I would hope CES and not
CES.
JDV.
If he's here, he probably will start opening day.
Yeah. Yes, he will. If he's here. But I'm going to go
because you have CES be the DH.
You could, yeah. Well,
so I'll go on a limb. I'll say Votto. Actually, I'll change it. I'll say Votto will be the starting first baseman, and CES will start at DH.
I'm going to keep CES at first base.
Yeah,
in part because of what I want as well.
Right. Yeah. So I'll say CES as well. Second base.
McLean.
I'll go McLean.
Yeah, as much as Jonathan India is going to be the, that's another question, right? India Votto. Those are the two.
To me, I think Indy is a bigger question than Votto.
Yes, I agree because they're both stubborn. India said that he didn't want to switch positions, play anything else but second, so he could be your DH, second baseman at times, but yeah,
he's not a DH though.
I mean, I don't know. I think McLean is your second baseman moving forward, unless you move Ellie to the outfield. And if Ellie plays winter ball and they got him in the outfield, then
right, that would give us an indication.
Right.
But until I see that, I'm not predicting that.
Right. And then shortstop, Ellie.
Yeah.
Ellie. Yep.
And then third base, Marte.
Yep.
Left field, Steer.
Yep. That's where I've got Steer.
Center field, got Friedel there still.
Friedel, opening day, Friedel.
Or do you
see? I want them to make a trade. I'm not saying Mike Trout, but I am saying that's where they upgrade the outfield is in center field, and Friedel becomes the fourth outfielder. But I don't really know center field wise who is available, either free agency or trade.
Nothing in free agency.
Yeah.
Cody Bellinger at the top by a lot. Then it's Kevin Kiermaier, Michael Taylor, Adam Duvall, Harrison Bader.
Yeah, none of those guys are upgrades over Friedel. So
other than Bellinger.
And I don't think they're going to be in his market. I think he's going to get too big a payday. So I mean that leaves a trade, and I don't necessarily know what you could get. I mean, with their prospects, they could, like you said, they could get probably anybody.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, if you go after Trout, right? I mean, is he going to play center field every day for you? He's probably going to be a corner, right?
It's smaller ballpark in GABP than it is in LA.
I mean, because he was playing a lot of left field, I think, for LA when he came back from his injury.
I mean, that's if he moves off his center, he's moving to left. He's not moving to right. He doesn't have that kind of arm.
Yeah.
But if you get him, he has to be your center fielder because you don't. I mean, Steer's not a center fielder. I mean,
no.
So
but who are you giving up to get him, right? I mean, you might have to give up a Steer. You might have to give up a Will Benson, an outfielder of that caliber, or Fraley.
Yeah, you're gonna have to give up one of the current players, like on the Reds roster.
You're giving up three guys that haven't played yet in the bigs, and then I think you're giving up one of the guys they called up this year, or who was a rookie this year, and
Benson.
Who, if that's Steer, then I mean.
I'd be more likely to get. They would probably ask for Steer. I don't know. I don't know if I mean, just because of Trout's injury history at this point.
Right.
I'd be more. I would be much more okay with Benson being given him up.
Yeah, I would too.
I'd give up Fraley. I'd give Fraley up.
I would even throw in Stewie, in that trade.
Oh God,
I would.
That would be classic Reds. They won't make the trade. That's the reason they don't make the trade is because the Angels are asking for Stewie and they say no. So
they value him too much. For the $750,000 he'll make.
God,
they would make that up in one homestand if Mike Trout was here. So. Oh, mercy.
But that's where I'd make an upgrade, but I don't know that they will. So I guess it is Friedel in center field. Then.
And then right field,
Benson.
Well, it could be Fraley. We haven't talked about him at all.
Right. I mean,
he's
my DH.
He's up there at 2.2. Are they gonna pay him 2.2 million?
Not a lot.
For the Reds, it is.
Well. I mean, you got to pay somebody
for a platoon player.
Yeah, it can't be the Pirates. So,
but I would include him. I would include him in a trade. I'd include Indy in a trade if you can get a everyday non-platoon
somebody can hit right-handed and left-handed hitters.
Correct. Put him in the outfield. I would Fraley in India. You package them, a couple younger guys, including Edwin Arroyo. I'd put him in a trade. I'd put Chase Petty in a trade. I mean, those guys aren't helping us next year. Those guys are not getting us the World Series in 2024.
Cam Collier.
And probably not 2025.
Yeah. Collier.
So, right.
Reese, what's his name? Reese Hines.
Reese Hines.
Yeah. I'd give up Reese Hines before I give up Collier, but
well,
yeah.
Anybody, that's obvious, but
right. But if you have
they're also going to ask
Yes.
for Collier before Reese Hines too.
Yes.
So I'm just saying I would trade any of those guys to get an upgrade for next year in 2025.
All right. Well, there you have it. Our predictions on our opening day roster. So starting 9. Who's going to pitch for you? Is Hunter Green your number 1? Or is
Hunter Green?
It's probably Hunter Green.
I think so too, just because of
Yeah.
he was
the ceiling. The ceiling.
Yeah, he was opening day starter last year, and
he's the only guy you've paid so far,
Yep.
starting stat wise.
So that'd be.
Now, what if they trade? What if they get
Sonny Gray?
Sonny Gray? Is he your starter?
No, still goes.
Hunter Green, still your
opening
number
day.
1 guy, I think.
Sonny Gray would be 2 then,
Sonny Gray would be 2, and then Abbott would be 3.
Abbott 3.
or Ashcraft,
Ashcraft
or Lodolo. I mean, there's still Lodolo's ceiling's higher.
Yeah, I think Abbott goes 3, Ashcraft 4, and then either if Lodolo comes back, Lodolo 5. If not, Williamson 5.
Yeah.
And then you put if Lodolo's not ready by opening.
If Lodolo's
day,
ready, I think in our scenario where they have a Gray kind of player, then I think Lodolo will be 3rd. I think he'll be 3, Abbott will be 4, and Ashcraft will be 5. And Williamson's in AAA.
or the bullpen. I think
Bullpen or gets moved, packaged.
yeah, something like that.
Well, I'm okay with if they got him in AAA, that's a good sign to me.
That is a good sign. I mean, our
You could have him. You could have
AAA
Connor Phillips in AAA. You could have.
Yeah, I mean that's
you're not getting through a season where everybody's healthy.
Yeah,
right.
that's
It doesn't
true.
happen.
So here's the in-house pitching, right, for 2024. You got, and this is just somebody who was just listing all the players. So he said starting pitching number 1 was Green, 2 Abbott, 3 Ashcraft, 4 Williamson, and then 5 was Lodolo with question marks whether or not he's back. Bullpen locks were Diaz, Sims, Jabot, Cruz, and Mall. Bullpen maybes were Farmer, the law firm, Duarte, Young, Lively, and then Vlad and Antone, depending on injuries. And then in AAA, and I just got cut off. I only have 3 of them, but there's Phillips, Richardson, and Spears.
Yeah, those are the in-house guys.
Right. Those are the in-house guys is what I'm saying is like, so to your point, yes, if we get somebody, I mean, that just, solidifies our pipeline to come up, because when was the last time that the Reds didn't have injuries on their starting staff?
Just 2012.
2012, yeah.
Yeah. When they made every single start, but in the playoffs it didn't happen.
Well, except for one, because there was a doubleheader. But yeah.
Well, yes, but
nobody missed the start.
But nobody.
Yeah,
missed
you're
the
right.
start.
Yeah.
Even with that.
Well, until Cueto in the playoffs,
Until
like you
Cueto
said.
in the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Well, if they didn't,
Right.
again, if they don't learn from this year, I mean, Lodolo supposed to come back. That's why part of their argument. Obviously he didn't. Green was supposed to come back, and he came back and threw two or three turds up before he threw anything good.
Mm-hmm.
That was ridiculous, even thinking that. So that's the hope. Again,
Right.
it's this relying on hope thing that the Reds deal with, and it just annoys the crap out of me, because you can't win with hope. Braves aren't winning with hope. Dodgers don't win with hope.
They're winning with cash.
Even the Brewers don't. Even the Brewers don't win with hope. I mean, they got a freaking starting staff that they're going to hold on to those. I mean, they might trade Burns, but they're trading Burns and they're bringing back high level talent coming back,
right?
In return. So
yeah. All right. Anything for the good of the order here before we wrap it up?
Nope, I don't got anything.
We will see.
All right.
Should be interesting off season.
It should be, and we'll keep you abreast of the hot stove league. Once the World Series.
I mean, the interesting thing, at least compared to like last off season, we knew they weren't bringing anybody in of any
Right.
substance.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
At least this year we have now I'm talking about hope for myself. I at least hope that something will happen. The one thing Nick Kroll can't get away with this year is just doing nothing, because now the expectations have risen. We're not. Sam next year is not predicting 62 and 100.
Right.
And a lot of people would have fallen in line with that. I'm not predicting 70, 92 anymore. The pressure's on Kroll and the ownership now. 2024 is here. They can't use this.
That's what they were playing for.
We can't hear over and over, oh, it's not their year yet. We're 1 year ahead. Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's out. All these, again, Reds crybabies, these crybaby fans and people, whatever. Let's get them out of here. Like, expectations, they make playoffs or bust next year.
Yep. Just like the O's, right? The Orioles.
Right.
They're on the same trajectory, and they've got to do it. They just have to do it. So, and if they don't, then we'll be back here probably discussing should they fire David Bell if they haven't already. So,
I'm still not opposed to them just doing that right now.
That's not happening. There is no way Castellini's are going to pay him for sitting on his butt.
No. Well,
no.
I mean, they've done that here recently with Will Myers and Kevin Newman,
Moustakis,
and
there you go. There's a couple free agents they could bring back.
No. Kevin Newman, they might bring him back. You never know.
Maybe there'll be like an announcement. Maybe like 3-4 months from now, the headline would just be former Angel traded to the Reds, or comes to the Reds, and we'll think like Mike Trout, and then we'll read the rest of it, and we Mike Moustakis
or Rodon. The package deal. Hey, if you want Trout, you got to take Rodon, as well.
Brandon Drury is with the Angels too.
Yeah.
I'd sign up for that because he's always injured. You can get insurance to pay his salary. You don't even have to worry about that.
I'd be like, no, the Angels, you eat his salary and we'll take him, that kind of thing, or we'll pay the league minimum, something like that. But that's not going to happen. We all know that. So,
right.
All right. Next week, I believe, Sam, you have the topic of the week, and we'll be back with a slate of UC football and
UC Iowa State
Bengals. Yep.
Bengals Seahawks.
Play the Seahawks.
Quick, let's finish with the prediction. Bengals Seahawks.
Yeah, let's finish. I like 24-21 Bengals.
It's home for the Bengals, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 31-24.
I'll go 27-17 Bengals.
All right. There we go. Gotta win. So with that, you can catch us live on YouTube Sunday evenings, and then we'll be able to, you guys can check in with the chat, or you can listen to us on anywhere that you get your podcasting, listening habits from. So with that, everybody have a great weekend or rest of the weekend, and a great start of the week. So take care, everybody.
See ya.
See you later.